understand the events that take place, back in February, he performed for a judge, adjudicated him on a solo that was memorized. We have class 1, 2, and 3, which class 1 is the most difficult level. So being memorized, he was given a first division, and that qualified him to perform at the State Sonora Ensemble Contest in Hendrickson High School in Pflugerville. So the judges, you're looking at over 10,000 students that perform. They only select about 3% that they feel that each judge will say, this kid is clearly above everyone else. And so this young man, under the tutelage of his percussion director, Mr. Stevie Sanchez, earned the equivalent of being named a state champion. So he received his draped gold medal, equivalent to what a first place finisher in track or individual events, etc. That's what he earned back in May. So Donovan, congratulations to you, mijo, and your parents as well that are here, on outstanding performer. I did have, do you have the letter? Oh, okay, that's okay. But there is a letter that was addressed to him from Dr. Kent, Director of Music UIL, congratulating Donovan for his accomplishment on what he did individually. So congratulations, Don. Congratulations, y'all.
Next, for high school, I want to recognize 3 individuals. I see one here, though. They were selected by the UT professors out of their cohort to present their summer research. The one y'all presented, correct me if I'm wrong, the one y'all presented during this summer's GeoForce. And they will be presenting in Louisiana, the American Geophysical Union. I think we've had one before. Yes. So congratulations. We have 3 individuals. First one we're going to present. Stephanie Ortiz. Again, they're advancing to Louisiana in December. I don't know if they need an administrator to travel with them, but if they do, give me a holler. The others, Elena Esquivel and Alex Chapa, were the other 2 that, congratulations. So from my understanding, they will be presenting in front of like 30,000 people. So best of luck. December 17th. If y'all need an admin, let me know. Thank y'all.
Okay, next we have the Lone Star Governance, presented by Dr. Rubalcaba.
Good evening, board members. Looking forward to sharing some of our state assessment data. It comes at a good time as we met with our district leadership team throughout the day to really discuss next steps. So please let me know at any point if you'd like me to stop for questions. So we will start each of our presentations with our mission and vision, inspiring lifelong learners, and to provide every child a quality education in a safe environment. Some of our bright spots, and you'll see this evidently in our slides, we're going to focus on the meets category, as that is our goals are based off of our students being at grade level. You'll see that we have much to celebrate in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th grade RLA. Lots to celebrate for RLA. When we're looking at our meets category for 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 8th math, we will see that 8th grade surpassed the state average. We are also noticing as a trend that we are beginning to see recovery based on those pre-pandemic scores in grades 3 through 5 reading, and 6 through 7 are above pre-pandemic averages as well. And lastly, one point that we really want to highlight is that we maintain a significant number of experienced teachers, highlighting our retention and certified in our content areas. So something that we're looking forward to celebrating for this past school year and moving forward into 25-26. So I will begin with 3 through 8. We are looking at RLA. So if the area is highlighted, it signifies an increase. And as I mentioned, we are looking at the meets. So notably, the greatest increase was at our CSI campus. So kudos to our 4th, 5th, and 6th that saw double-digit growth at the meets for RLA. When we look at our math, we can also see differences, and highlighted are the increases. So notably, our grade 6 saw the greatest increase at 18%, which is significant. It is difficult to grow anywhere from 3 to 5% in any given year, so kudos to any double-digit growth. And then we'll see our 8th grade as much of a jump as 28%. So it is important to highlight that we did test our students a bit differently this school year. So our 8th grade data shows not only our 8th grade general education, but also our 7th grade advanced testers. When we look at our science and social studies outcomes, so much fewer tests notably here, we do celebrate an increase in 7% at our 8th grade science, while we saw decreases in 5th and 8th grade social studies. Moving forward to our EOCs. So we did have more increases in our elementary level and middle school designations. When we look at our EOC outcomes, we see decreases in our meets with the exception of biology, indicating a 4% growth. And that summarizes our outcomes for STAR. Another large component that I would like to draw your attention to is our STAR growth. The district for RLA as an average had 62% growth. Areas that we would like to highlight are 4th and 5th. We saw those large increases in meets, and we get to celebrate the growth that was also attained at these grade level bands, as well as our 7th and 8th grade. So great growth for RLA. And if you look at our average of 62 for RLA, it is slightly lower for math at a 58%. So we have our highest here at 86 and 83, both residing at our 8th grade. So 8th grade math, general ed, and our Algebra 1 with the greatest growth across the district. So next steps, what has the data informed us and what are our conversations up to this point? So over the summer and currently, it's been a daily conversation really. We were able to get a really good summary today of the Wildcat Way. The curriculum and instruction team, curriculum specialist, Mr. Talamantes and myself, have really put a lot of effort into ensuring that teacher voice and administrator voice is being heard and that we are really emphasizing strong Tier 1 instruction aligned at all of our 4 campuses. Another large initiative this upcoming year is cluster meetings, which is PLC, professional learning communities, that we are familiar with, but really emphasizing how we are ensuring that we are aligned and calibrated at our 4 campuses and making sure that we are looking and looking for what we expect. And lastly, we noticed, and this has been a trend and a pattern for a couple of years now in our math data. We've seen our math scores remain a bit more stagnant than our RLA. So the Bluebonnet Math Initiative and the K through 12 alignment is something that we're emphasizing throughout the school year at all 4 of our campuses, and 3 of our campuses will be more vertically aligned with that curriculum. So a really strong push, especially for our elementary campus. So with that, as part of the LASSO grant, we did receive funding and decided to partner with the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching. They've been providing supports. We will be meeting via Zoom weekly, and they will be coming to do learning walks and really guide and ensure that we're following all guidelines. We have Emergent Tree, which is a multi-tiered behavioral support to address SEL for every student, and of course our Lone Star Governance, which has been a wonderful collaboration with you all to ensure that our goals are aligned and make sense, that we're all speaking the same language. Moving forward, so to address the needs and really to emphasize what we're doing, we also have teacher incentive allotment coming up. I know Ms. Pearson's mentioned that we are very happy that we've gotten that application approved, and we're looking forward to aligning our T-tests walkthroughs and ensuring that the growth that's acquired from our assessment data is aligning and that we're able to spread that wealth throughout our 4 campuses. As far as resources and practices for Tier 1 instruction, blended learning, we had a wonderful blended learning cohort that has really been the pioneers into differentiating and tailoring instruction to each individual student. So we're looking forward to getting more teachers in our next cohort and really emphasizing this as an instructional practice. And then of course we have our adaptive programs, which really lend themselves to supporting all of our students where they are. So we have our Age of Learning, which is My Reading and My Math Academy, Newsela, IXL, and Character Strong for SEL. And then our outputs will be our assessment data. So we have our NWEA map growth, which we speak of often. We have our unit assessments and of course our benchmarks. Thank you very much for your time. Any questions for me?
No
Thank you.
questions. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go to item 6, public comment. Okay, we don't have any public comment. Next will be announcements, a superintendent briefing, the student recognition, staff recognition.
Thank you, President Franco. So in the summer, we also highlight our students and teachers, because when our teachers grow, our students grow, and boy, did our teachers grow. So with the Wildcat Way in mind, with the priorities that were listed as far as strong Tier 1 instruction and PLCs, our teachers attended some wonderful opportunities. Our kinder teachers attended the Elevate conference, and they brought back lots of technology ideas that they'll be sharing with the whole campus. Ms. Garcia has a very strong plan for teachers to share their learning, teachers learning from teachers. We also had a group of teachers that went to ISTE. ISTE is a national conference, and it was in our backyard in San Antonio, Texas. This is also innovative, technology-based, adaptive programs, and so again, these teachers will be sharing. This was our blended learning pilot teachers, and so we did see significant data increases with the blended learning, and so we really want to push that in the district this year, and we have teachers that are excited about it. We also attended a Solution Tree PLC conference. This was all of teacher leaders, principals, assistant principals, and some of our directors. And they said that they left inspired and ready to lead professional learning community clusters where our teachers are discussing data, they're discussing high yield instructional strategies and student evidence, artifacts of student work. All of these will be shared across all the districts at the campuses. They all had representatives. And then so we had a small group of teachers from CSE and CSI that attended Region 3 Literacy Retreat. This was focused on writing and on doing the short answer response. So we are excited and anxious to hear everything that they learned at that conference. We have had our students back on campus. The Mean Purple Band students have been showing up and working. They have a full schedule preparing for our kickoff of UIL season and also football. So we're excited to see our band students back. We had our football camp that our coaches put on, and we also had our volleyball camp that the coaches put on yesterday and today. So we have some nice pictures of that. We had our cheer camp, our mini cheer camp, that was full of many young Wildcat cheerleaders, and they packed the house last Thursday for their finale. So that is the superintendent briefing. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to the reports, informational items, financial briefing. We have the general fund financial statement, child nutrition financial statement, debt service fund financial statement, and the construction financial statement.
Test. Oh. You need me to go through the briefing like I usually do, correct? Okay. Because it's under consent, oh, never mind, I apologize. Okay, so our executive summary for June of 2025, we have 2 months left in our fiscal year, so we're 83% past where we are as far as time that has passed. In the general fund, we have collected $60,113,670, which is about 95% of our collections that we were expecting to collect. Our year-to-date expenses as of June of 2025 is $25,809, leaving our revenue over expenses of $34,309. And of course, we still have our Chapter 41 payment to pay. We pay that in August. For the food service, we have collected so far $1,753,318. Our expenses are $1,904,162 as of June. So the general fund transfer at this moment is estimated at $150,844. Now in July, we don't expect a lot of expenses because they're going to get paid out of their summer fund. So I think they're doing well at this time. For the debt service, we have collected the INS taxes of $11,426,60, and our first bond payment that was paid in February was $4,465,300, leaving $6,960,760 as of this moment. And we have the next bond payment will be due August the 15th. If we look at the next page, we have a summary of the by fund. So we have the general fund, which again can show you the recap for local revenue, $1,146 for the $11,426,60. $1,146 for the $11,426,60. Okay. On the next page, you'll see a list of the board-approved budget amendments. I've listed them from the beginning of the fiscal year to now as an ongoing list. We do not have any board amendments presented at this time. As a recap for the special maintenance projects, we do not have any requests at this time. And then a recap on the interest earned. You'll see the totals by general fund, INS, and construction fund, and a total for all funds. So for the month of June, for general fund, INS, and construction altogether, we've collected $620,000 in interest. Okay, and then after that, I have the construction fund financials and a check register. So for 24-25 through June, we've collected $3,616,890. And our expenses so far for this year is $2 million. And then I'm also showing at the bottom the recap for the previous year. And that's all I have at this time. Any questions?
Thank you. Now we have the first reading of the TASB-initiated local policy update 125.
Good evening, members of the board, President Franco. You have in your board packet a listing of numerous legal and local policies that require updating in our board policy. And just for an overview of the difference between legal and local, and legal policies, as you know, I don't think it's not known that we had a legislative session ended, and so as a result, it reflects the ever-changing. The legal policies reflect ever-changing legal context for governance and management of the district. They're there to inform local decision-making and are not required to be adopted. They will be a part of our policy, our board policy. But local policies, of course, require close attention by the both administration and the board. They must reflect the practices of the district and intentions of the board and may only be changed by board action. So those local policies in the update 125 do require board action. Again, Ms. Franco, this is the first read of the numerous local updates that require action on behalf of the board. Is there anything that I can clarify? Or I think TASB does a really good job of giving you a good overview of what is required to be acted upon and approved, or considered and approved. Any questions? Anything I can clarify as far as any of the policies? Okay. May I go? All right, great, thank you. So again, first read of the update 125, and then also for your first read, we have local updates to local FD, local policy FD, and FM. Both of these policies have to do with opting out of allowing homeschool to participate in UIL activities. Carrizo Springs CISD has previously opted out of participating in this, and we still have the same stance, except for now legislation with legislative updates, now legislation requires the board to act upon these particular items, and to put them into board policy. Therefore, that's why we have the updates for, again, FD local, which is regarding admissions, and specifically students not enrolled, and specifically homeschooled students, and then local policy FD in reference to extracurricular activities and eligibility. Any questions on those?
I would like to add, board, I know this is just the first read, it'll come back to you in August, but this was Senate Bill 401 that was in legislation. Some of you may recall a couple of years ago, it was an opt-in. If you wanted the homeschoolers to be in UIL, you opted. So what legislation did is now it's an opt-out, and so the board must have action before September 1st. And so that's why we'll bring it back to our August 26th meeting. And it is the recommendation of administration that the board approve an opt out of it from the allowing homeschoolers to participate in our UIL. We have talked to our AD, we've talked to our principals at the high school, and really this puts an extra burden on the teachers and allowing our homeschool students to participate through our legal counsel and what we sat through yesterday. There is no checks and balances, so students potentially could be failing or have no grades at all and be able to potentially take a spot of a school that's, of a student that's attending our school. It also puts a burden on us if for space and team, and so it is a recommendation that we not move forward and that we opt out of allowing homeschool students to participate in UIL.
Take it.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
No question?
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna go. So we don't do any of this yet? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Okay, we're gonna pull one of the items from the consent agenda items. So, on the approval of the payment of $65,340 to Provision for purchase of bus cameras, licenses, and installation removal services, and they're gonna present on that. Okay, Chief Ramirez will be presenting on the bus cameras. Out of consent, yeah.
Apologize. So we'll go into specifics. Jerry will explain exactly what camera systems we're looking to equip the buses we currently have en route, and then we'll go more into detail once he shows you the slides.
Hello, good afternoon, board members. So just an overview of our bus cameras in our district. So we have 25 buses, right? So majority would say that out of 25, there's like 22 of the buses that camera are either the camera's not working or the DVR is not working, right? So with this initiative, Always Safe Provision, it will allow us to upgrade the infrastructure of the bus cameras, and with that said, it has a cloud capability. Can you let the next slide, please? So, next slide. So with this one, it has the capability of the live view with the bus cameras. So with that said, when there's event or something like going on with inside the buses, instead of waiting for the bus to like arrive in the bus barn, it has the capability to view directly what's going on with the buses. And not only that, when something's going on, like in the highway, on the streets, we can view right away what's going on outside perimeter of the buses. So with that said, with this infrastructure upgrade, it will allow us to see where's the exact location of the buses, because on the platform, next slide please. So this slide right here, this is the quality of the cameras right here. So each of the buses, we're gonna install 5 camera. So it's gonna be like 4 is gonna be like for the students, and 1 will be facing the dashboard, like on the road for the bus. Next slide, please. So this is like the quality of the camera. Next slide. Okay, so this is like sample pictures of the infrastructure upgrade for the bus camera. Next slide, Gilbert. So this one right here on the dashboard, it will tell you the exact location of the buses. So with that said, we can give this permission to our security officers whenever there's like out-of-town games or whatever it is, and we have the visibility of where's the buses right now. And with that said, where there's like something's going on, like, hey, can you check on the camera because we're having emergency, the SROs will have the, okay, we'll check on the bus through the live view, and they can see in real time what's going on inside on the buses. And for this initiative, it will give us like the 5 years, the contract, and I'll have Richard to discuss on that one for the
funding. So this is a 5-year commitment here. First year would be at the $65,000 that would be taken out of the Safe Cycle 2 grant. So it is safety funds that will be paying for this. The second year would be the second half of that, but it would cover for a 5-year. After the 5-year, we do not have to opt back into it. We already have the equipment. The only thing we would need to do at that point is for the cloud server. All right, so roughly about $700 a month, but that's after year 5. Okay, so for those 5 years, we have the company who can come and service. They will send us a new camera if we need it. We'll be able to replace it. Everything can be done in-house with Jerry and his staff. So after the initial input of the system, Mr. Jerry here and his staff will be able to work on anything on those cameras. If it is something that the camera is not working properly, like I said, the company will just send a new camera in. They'll be able to plug and play. So that's for 5 years. So Safe Cycle 2 will pay for this first half. Next year's safety money will pay for the second half. Did I miss anything? This is going to cover 22 buses. We have a total of 25 buses right now. So the 3 buses that will not be equipped, they currently do already have a camera system. It is a little older. So for us to retrieve that video, it does take a little more steps to do that. We can still do it, but the 22 out of the 25 will be cloud server based. And like Jerry said, it's live video. We can pull that immediately if we need to. It has cameras that cover the outside, so it will serve as a deterrent as well for vehicles that are trying to pass when they're not supposed to pass. We now have video of that that we can utilize to investigate everything inside. It's great quality video. So, any questions on these cameras?
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
First of all, I like the idea. It's great. I just have 2 quick questions, and I'm only asking because of previous areas that I've been in. One, how many days back can the DVR storage go for the cloud, and at what point does that footage get deleted?
It's 60 days, if I'm mistaken. 60 days after the event. But with these, if there is an incident that is reported, it can immediately be tapped in remotely, so we don't have to wait no longer than a week. I mean, it's as fast as when it's reported to us. Great.
So it's 60 days retention, and this system has the capability to lock it in. So if we have this footage that we need to lock it for evidence purposes, we can lock that in, and we can stay it as long as we want.
Thank you, guys.
Great question.
I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
So our new buses that we're getting, or the ones we purchased the past couple of years, those do not have cameras?
Those, the new buses that we purchased, though, they have the cameras in place. The thing is, they have on-prem, so we physically go over there to extract the footages. So we can keep that one. So we have 25 buses, right? So the main priority of this infrastructure upgrade is the cameras, the buses that the cameras are not working. So with those new buses, we're still gonna keep the camera in place, except that we don't have the features of the live view.
Second question. Okay. On the program that we're talking about, that we got paid, so we got paid $65,000 each year for 5 years?
No. So basically, we cut it in half. So basically, 65 this year, and then 60 for next year. But that covers 5 years. So we don't have to pay for like 65 every year. But once after the 5 years, we're just gonna only pay $770 to be exact for cloud service.
And with this $65,000, they'll provide all the cameras that we need?
Yes.
Per bus, 5 cameras, 4 cameras per bus?
Yes, including training, installation, training.
After the 5 years, do they take those cameras back and we opt out, or do we keep the cameras on those buses?
No, we keep the camera, and we just gonna pay unless if you want to, like, hey, we like your service, come down, renew the money. But we have the what's it called is option to like just get the cloud service because we have the cameras in place already.
Third question, I guess. Decide we opt out. Is your department, IT department, is there something you can build capable of running this camera system? Or the geofencing or the GPS on the buses? As far as your department can build a software for this? Going to the third-party company.
This one, we don't have the capability of like, correct me if I'm wrong, if I get your questions right, like IT department to like mimic the setup or something like that? Yes.
The only reason I'm referring to is because at my company, we deal with back trucks. We were gonna go with a third party, and it was outrageous expensive, right? So our IT guy built this program, and it's mimic the same program as that we were gonna purchase, and now we're gonna implement that into our back truck system.
Yeah.
And it has a geofencing, a GPS.
Yes.
If something, an incident happens, we know where that truck
Yes.
is at. Similar to this. That
Yes.
was just a question.
Yeah.
I'm not putting pressure on you. I'm just a question.
No, that's a great question. So with this one, of course, we don't have, one is that the manpower to install like the wires and everything, and second is that with what we can mimic like right now is we can only get the GPS, like we can install a device over there on the buses, and we can get the exact location. But as far for installation, running the wires for the buses, that we don't have manpower.
No, I'm talking about the program itself.
Yes, the program, yeah, we can only get the GPS.
Gotcha. Thank you, man.
Excuse me, I have a question, a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
So, if I remember correctly, the total cost is 130 something?
130,000. Yes, sir.
Right, in 2 payments,
Correct.
total for 5 years.
Correct.
Is this internet service, or how are you, how does it receive signal?
So thank you for that great question. So each of the buses, they have a 4G cellular. So all of the cameras are tied into the NVR, and that NVR is connected to the 4G cellular, 5G cellular, and then that's what's it called is that's throwing the internet, and it's gonna receive by the cloud. So it's basically the DVR itself has a SIM that what's it called is connected to the cloud service. They communicate, and that's how we can log into the dashboard via web. So we don't have to install any additional application. So just to the web, and we can see like the example for the live view for the cameras.
So this company owns the cloud, and this fee, you'll have it, you'll buy the service for 5 years. Once you have all the equipment, if we don't commit again, then you have a lot of equipment, but no access to that cloud. You won't have service, right? So we would continue service by paying the 700 and something?
Yes, so if we opt out for the cloud service, so we're gonna go to the traditional. It's still gonna be stored locally on the DVR, NVR, but we have to wait for the bus to arrive at the bus barn to extract the video. With this cloud service is that not only we can extract it remotely, but we can also view it like a live view for the buses if something happens.
Their cloud.
Yes,
The service is 5 years with their cloud.
yes.
What about reception? Does it have any dead spots? How, are you talking about just local transportation, the kids getting home, or trips, out-of-town trips?
Yes, yes.
Is there dead spots, or will it work all over Texas?
I would assume there's certain location here in Texas that have dead spots, so that's a great question. For that one, I'll reach out to Brian. That way, before committing to this contract, we have to make sure we have those situation like, hey, we have this right here, like really low service, so we're gonna reach out to the vendor.
Jerry, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I remember when he presented to us, because it's served on I think what's important to know is that the cloud is live, but it's recording all the time, whether it has Wi-Fi or not Wi-Fi. It's with like a box. Can you go back to the picture that had the box? So the box is right there. It has the actual disc, and it's recording there. So no matter what, we're always gonna get the recording.
Yes.
The only
Uh-huh.
thing that the cloud does that is, in my opinion, pretty cool, it's live. So when
Yes.
we can live into the buses at any time and monitor them that way.
Yes.
But as far as the recordings, we'll always have the recordings that are recording 24/7 if we want to in that tape, in that box. And then we can remove it from the box and we can download it when we're on our Wi-Fi in our bus barn.
Yes, ma'am, the
Yeah.
recordings, but I'm talking about signal. In a perfect world, in a big community, your signal, your base is gonna be very strong. We live in South Texas. Some of these back routes that our kids will be taking on trips, have you done any research, or anybody else who's using this company, having that lack of signal problem?
Yeah. So far, I've asked the how many ISDs have been gone. He has a couple, not only in Texas, but a couple of the different states too. So far, it's the one that before I went with this company, I asked the technology group in San Antonio, and they referred me on this one. So with that said, thank you for that, Ms. Pearson. So it's gonna record. If we don't have that kit, let's say there's a dead spot because we can do a live view, but at least it's recording. So with that said, we can just extract the DVR and pull out the images.
So it doesn't transmit, it's still recording.
Yes. And then if there's I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a nearby town where there's like cellular signal. From there, we can live view it. Yeah.
Did you do any shopping comparison?
Yes.
And are you comfortable with this and this price?
Yeah. Before we came up with this vendor, we did, and then there's like so much difference in the same specs, same number of buses, same EVR, but this is the one like the least expensive. But it doesn't mean that it's less. It's like what's it called? Doesn't have any features, but then again, this has like more money from the book for investing this one. And we compared it to the other vendor. I was like, this is like what we're looking at, and this fits with our district.
Question I have, do they provide all the technical support? And say if something is damaged, is that all that covered for the 5 years of the?
Yes, ma'am. So this one, the camera itself should last for 10 years, and then the contract is only 5 years, right? So with this one, within the contract, they whenever the cameras, like let's say we need to replace, they're gonna send it out, and then if we need for them to come down because it's so advanced for the troubleshooting, we can also request for them to come down.
Thank you.
I got another question.
Any other question?
Mr. Yu, go ahead. My next question, do we have a timeline of what it would take as far as installation of cameras in 22 buses?
So for this one, I've asked, thank you for that, a great question, Mr. Ortiz. So that one, I've asked them, it's gonna take them like 2 weeks. So they gonna have a team to come down to install the bus cameras. And then, yeah, that's usually the turnaround.
2 weeks to do all 22 buses.
Yes.
Not so much, thank you guys for this information. Not so much a question, but a comment, and any fellow board members, please recall my memory if I'm, and again, this is not to put you on a spot, and Mario, maybe you can help with this too. At one time, did we receive, board, a presentation on, also in the area of safety, where students would wear an ID where we would track their location? At one time, did we ever receive a presentation on that? If we did not, I apologize, but I thought that was something that was brought to us also in the line of safety. While students are on the bus, we know, okay, little Johnny is at Highway 277, blah, blah, you know, it knew the exact location. At one time, were we ever presented that?
I don't remember.
If not, please look into that, Mr. Mario, or here, let's look at our old minutes, just also in the line of safety.
Yes.
So this is
Okay.
good, but if there's
Yes.
other measures we can take while students are on the buses, let's look into it.
Mr. Uriegas, no, you're correct. When Mr. Gonzalez was maintenance and transportation in first semester, they piloted some of the
yes.
scan cards.
Correct.
And to see if it was something we wanted to do. Mr. Reese actually did, we just met on that. They
Excellent.
tried it with the high school students, and they didn't have a lot of success because the high school students didn't really want to keep up with the card.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mr. Reese was setting up another call with them to see if we could pilot with our elementary.
Okay.
Because we wanted to get a good idea if it was something we wanted to do, because obviously we're going to have to invest some money
Of
on
course.
buying the cards and the software. But Mr. Reese, I don't know if you have any more information you want to share.
Well, the reason is that the high schoolers didn't want to do it, and they would get on without swiping the card or
Right.
anything like that, so we weren't getting a good data report on it. So as Superintendent Pearson said, we had this conversation, possibly giving it to the elementary, because the elementary kids, they will do that.
Of course.
They will do that. So this is a plan for us to do that, so that way we can see how that works.
Okay.
And you're right, that's what.
And again, I apologize for getting off topic, but again, it's
No,
in the
that's
area of
fine.
safety. And just, if it's something if you need to be brought back, by all means, let's look at it.
That'll be a good trial run, elementary students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, I make a motion to approve.
No, it was pulled, it was pulled out of consent, so we need action.
Yes.
You second. Okay, we have a motion made by Jeff Ortiz, seconded by Al Doria to approve the payment of $65,340 to Provision for purchase of the bus cameras, licenses, and installation removal services. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go back now to the approval of consent agenda items.
President Franco, I only had one question, and I did get to visit with Ms. Diaz before this. Ms. Diaz, could you, again, just for my colleagues up here, give us a breakdown of item I, consider approval of tax refund request from Lewis Petro Properties, Inc. Thank you.
Yes. So we received a refund request for payments that were a request to refund an amount that was paid for penalties and interest that were under protest. And so we did verify with the appraisal district, and they did execute a settlement and waiver agreement with them. So now they're going back to all the entities to get the approval for their portion. Now, our portion may not be the 692. I apologize for that, but we would be responsible for our portion of that request. So we did ask for additional information from the appraisal district, and so I supplied that to you, which was their application, and then the worksheet that the appraisal did to settle on that protest. Do you need more information than that?
Yes, so thank you for sharing that with. So if we are refunding this corporation, that money is coming from where?
From the taxes that we've already
Taxes.
collected.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yes, so we'd be refunding them
All right,
from there.
thanks.
Yes, you're welcome.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
On item M, consider approval of district's fixed assets capitalization threshold policy. I believe this will mean increase from 5,000 to 10,000.
Yes, so in this regard, the federal rules have increased the threshold from 5,000 to 10,000. Now, this doesn't mean that we're not going to track our assets. It just means that we would not have to depreciate them over the life of that asset. So there's basically the way the law is reading it is now, if an item costs $6,000, we don't have to book it in our fixed assets book and depreciate it for the life of that asset. It would be only for those items above $10,000. Now, this did come into effect on July 1, but I'm requesting that the board approve it effective 9/1 instead of July 1. The reason for that is because I don't want to do 10 months of capitalization at this level and then 2 months at this level. It would be an accounting nightmare for us, so that I want to align it with our fiscal year. So it's okay for us to be more stringent, which is $5,000 for those 2 months, and then if you do approve that to increase to $10,000, we would implement it effective 9/1 if you approve. And so this recommendation is to align with the federal guidelines.
Any other questions?
If there are no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Motion made by Aldoria to approve the consent agenda items.
Second that motion.
Seconded by Oscar Morones. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to item 11, discussion and possible action items. Consider approval of a resolution approving a contingent fee contract for Mon Council Legal Services, considering those matters provided in the district public notice and approval of other matters related hereto. We have Mr. Humberto Aguilera.
Good evening, Board President Franco, school board members, Superintendent Pearson. Name is Humberto Aguilera with the law firm of Escamilla and Ponick. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. We're very grateful for the board taking consideration of potentially engaging our law firm, Escamilla and Ponick, to serve as the district's bond counsel. Wanted to talk just briefly a little bit about our firm and what our services would entail. So again, law firm of Escamilla and Ponick, founded in 1991. Shortly thereafter, since about 1992, we've been providing public finance services, so bond counsel services. We are based in San Antonio, headquartered in San Antonio. With me this evening is also Juan Aguilera, the head of our public finance practice. We are based in San Antonio ourselves, and we also have our tax counsel also based in San Antonio. Our law firm is a general practice, multiple areas of practice, but they have a specialty and a focus in school law. And we too, our public finance practice, we represent a whole host of public entities, including as large as the state of Texas, multiple cities, counties, school districts, including Dimmitt County here locally, and also the city of Carrizo Springs. We've been fortunate to represent both of those entities for multiple years. But we too have a specialty and focus on school districts, have a number of school district public finance bond counsel clients throughout the state of Texas, but particularly also South Texas. We represent in the San Antonio area, San Antonio ISD, Comal ISD, Southwest ISD, more locally here, Eagle Pass ISD, Crystal City ISD, Cotulla ISD, so lots of experience in the area. Bond counsel, what we do is we help and assist the district with the issuance of bonds. And that's the only time that we actually get compensated is when there is a sale of bonds. So that's helpful in that our fee would not come out of your M&O budget. It's capitalized or rolled into your bond offerings. So that's a unique feature of how we're compensated. But what we do is we help the district in calling the bond election. And of course, we are in a unique environment these days where I think there's heightened scrutiny on school districts in particular with the issuance of bonds and bond elections. So we'll help the district walk through those various election requirements. Once the bonds are sold, we present the bonds to the Attorney General's office. We prepare a host of documents, host of legal agreements that's reviewed by the Attorney General's office. So we'll help advise the district on a variety of state law issues. As you know, most of these bonds are issued on a tax-exempt basis. So we have tax counsel, and we'll help advise the district on the various federal tax law rules. These bonds are sold in the open market, so there's a whole host of SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission rules that we assist the district in. And again, you know, we are really in a unique time where I believe there's just a heightened sensitivity and heightened scrutiny, rather, on these school district bonds. And we've seen examples across the state of the SEC having enforcement actions against school districts, bond elections being challenged and overturned on really technicalities. And so we pride ourselves in staying on top of all of these issues and abreast of all the various issues that need to be complied with to ensure successful delivery and issuance of bonds. But I could talk about bonds all day, but I know it's not necessarily the most fascinating or enlightening topic, but I did want to make ourselves available to answer any questions that the board may have about our firm or about the role of bond counsel in general.
Questions? Yes, we'd like to entertain a motion. Anyone?
I'll go to make the motion to approve the contingency for the bond counsel.
Okay, we have a motion by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Oscar Morones, to approve a resolution approving a contingent fee contract for bond counsel legal services, considering those matters provided in the district's public notice and approval of matters related hereto. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I also wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you. My name is Juan Aguilera, and that's my son. So it's but we do have a host of attorneys that work with us. I also wanted to point out, and I'm glad I'm going to do this after you vote because I'm from Eagle Pass originally. I don't want you to hold that against me. As a matter of fact, played football here. Well, played bench against the Wildcats. But we're very familiar with the area. As Humberto mentioned, we represent the county. We've been representing them for a number of years. We also represent the city, and done some work. And I know I've done some work with Ms. Diaz in the past. So. Yeah, we really welcome the opportunity, and we're looking forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to B, consider approval of the design development for Carrizo Springs Elementary and Carrizo Springs Intermediate.
Good evening, Board. Board President Franco, Superintendent Pearson, thank you for having us. Going to run through a few slides and have a couple of people step up and give their updates. But I do want to say, just from a bond management standpoint, we've got a good team I have to thank ERO and MTR who are here. They're going to be presenting tonight. We've pushed really hard on those guys and girls to get us moving as fast as we can. You're going to see kind of where we are in the process, but there is a healthy amount of friction in our group, which makes things go forward. I think that we couldn't have kind of put together a better team for this group and what we're doing. So I want to say thanks to them and thanks to you guys as well for being supporters of what we're doing here. Let's see here. So just going to give you a few highlights in the first year that we've been here. So we're about 60 days ahead of schedule. Why does that matter? That matters because we don't know how things are going to be affected in the pricing markets and the commodity markets, in particular of construction products. As you can tell, every other Friday there's a guy that gets on the news and says he's raising tariffs and things like that, and so it makes things a bit confusing and causes instability in the markets. So being ahead, I'd rather be able to have the opportunity to sit on our hands if we want to see before we purchase. So that's good for us. Kind of our goals right now, if we can get approval on DD, is to break some ground on civil and site work in December. If we can get done any faster, we will. What does that look like for the community and for you guys? It's going to be setting up the site, so you're going to see paint markers and a little bit of movement there. There's not going to be a building there yet, but it's going to be the start of that work as we get ready to kind of meet our end goals. In a few months, we'll be bringing to you our GMP #1, which is guaranteed maximum pricing on a few of the items. So expect to see that. Over this time, we've met with the Texas State Safety Center. So safety and security was part of this bond. What are kind of the experts saying about what's the next level of ISD security? So that was a big achievement. And then, we've had 21 focus groups of admins, staff. So we've brought folks in from the maintenance department. We brought in teachers, principals. We're talking to as many people as we can to get their understanding of what we're trying to accomplish here and take their input. In addition, we've had 6 community events where the community itself has been allowed to come in and give us their voice. We're trying to engage contractors in the area, and we're going to continue those things as we move forward. And then we've had 3 student engagements, right? Ultimately, these kids are going to be in this school when the doors open in 27, and so understanding what they're saying and what they like and don't like, I think is healthy to the process, especially for Carrizo, as you decide maybe in the future to bond again. This is, we're kind of laying the groundwork for the next bonds if that is something that you guys choose to do. So this is our roadmap. It hasn't changed since we started. Again, kind of shows us that we were going to be going to you guys in September for DD, but we're here today. I was really happy that we were actually ready probably or pretty close about a month ago. We took that time to go through our drawings again and ensure that we had, the massing and the scope of what we were doing down to where we wanted it to be. So I'm really happy with the set where it stands now. So that's great. 2 of the things that we had to do as we started to figure out what these schools were going to be is, TEA kind of makes you pick one of the 2 approaches, a quantitative approach or a qualitative approach. This is something that the board voted on very early in the process. You guys might not remember. But what this does is it sets the sizes and the design of the instructional spaces, right? There's multiple levels. This gives us, by going into the qualitative space, that we believe gives us the most flexibility, to be honest. And that's evident in kind of where we've ended up in our flexibility level selection. So we're sitting between levels 3 and 4 in most of our spaces. What that should mean is that 1 is kind of the most restrictive. That would be a teacher standing in front of their students right here and not moving at all through the whole lecture, right? So we've gotten into levels 3 and 4 where there's more flexibility. We can move things around. We were saying that this is a 50-year school. We want to have enough space and flexibility as you grow or you know, how things happen, that you can move things around. So I'm really excited to say that this DD set gets us into these promises that we kind of made early on in the process. So with that said, we're going to get into, we're going to let the architects speak a bit about what we have put together so far, and then at the end we'll ask some questions if you guys want to.
Thank you. Good evening. I want to echo a little bit what Chris said with regards to the staff and the input that they've provided. We've only gotten to this point because of the input that we've received from everyone and their contributions. It's truly been a really great process going through those and getting input from everybody so we can develop these two schools for Carrizo Springs. So if you all recall, you all have seen this plan before. It indicates the CSI and the CSE. They are adjacent to one another, but they are truly two individual schools. So we got two separate schools with two identities, and we've got two libraries there. They share some spaces without interrupting each other's functionality and schedules. And we got individual parent pickups for each elementary school, and we got a safer, longer drop-offs. So just go over real quick. This is a summary of the spaces within the individual campuses. The elementary school there on the left and the intermediate school there on the right. You can see we've got administration suites at both schools. We've got two security offices at each, library at each school, cafeteria and stage for each individual school, music and art rooms for both. Each school has their own courtyards. Each school has their own playground spaces. We've got work centers and collaboration spaces distributed throughout both campuses. We've got some interior gardens, and then you can see there the count of the classrooms, and then we've got spaces for the SPED programs. With that, I'm going to kind of just go back a little bit. We started at schematic design. That's where we kind of go and gather some of the information and start to formulate how we're going to move forward and kind of process all of that to be able to create these two schools. Then we move into design development, which is the point at which we're at right now. And then when we move past that, we move into construction documents. Here's where we start to really develop. Everybody to this point, there's a set around here somewhere, probably 350 pages, if not more, of drawings. They kind of outline everything in two-dimensional spaces, and that's what everybody's seen to this point. We've shared the plans, we've shared the elevations. But we're going to start moving past that a little bit. As we do construction documents, we're going to start to really kind of embellish everything and get it to its final destination where everything's going to sit. So you all have seen the exterior. This is a rendered exterior. You can see the CSE on the left and the CSI on the right. They have their individual entries, right? They share that drop-off in the front, but that's not the main drop-off. There's one on either side for each school. So that gives you an indication of kind of what the exterior and the front of the school looks like. You see the little cats on the top. Those right now are indicators of where we can provide some of that kind of graphics and identity. As we move forward with construction documents, we'll have further dialogue as to what those want to be and how they develop and what they become. But those are kind of placeholders, right? So we want to provide an identity for each school, and those are opportunities to do that. We've talked about courtyards in between. So this isn't a traditional school where kids play outside of the school. They play on the inside of the school. So we've shared that with everybody, but up until now, I don't know if anybody's really kind of, from 2D, been able to kind of envision what that might be. So you kind of see here, this is the CSI side. Over here on the right, what you have is the porch coming off of the library, which opens down to some outdoor learning space on the outside. We have a playground area in the front, and we have a playground area in the back, right? So you can kind of start to see how everything comes together in 3 dimensions. Opposite, on the other side of the wall, is the CSE side. Kind of a mirrored effect, but its own identity and separate from this one. And you got a shading structure there in the center to provide some shade. So heat has always been a big concern, so we're trying to provide some areas with shade and respite from the sun. You see some fans there. We'll be adding some additional ones to help circulate some air. And you may ask how big the space is. I mean, we've got the space in the back of this building. From that library wall to the admin, is about as wide as that space is in the back. So we got plenty of room. And we were kind of trying to figure out what we could use to kind of use it as an example to give everybody a sense of space. I think, Nick, at one point you said it's like 3/4 of a football field, so it's a relatively large space. So that's the outdoor. This is just an overhead view. You can kind of see the shading structure there. It's there to provide some shade. We got some sails in the back to cover up some of the playground areas, so there's some additional shade being proposed back there. CSE playground on the left, CSI on the right, so they're age appropriate, they're ADA accessible. And then what you see in the back is an exterior dining commons. So the kids can eat inside or outside, so there'll be an area for that to happen also. And there in the center, you see the gym. So we got windows on the north side. That's where we get the best light that doesn't, interfere with people running up and down a court or things like that. We've talked a lot about collaboration spaces, right? And everybody's kind of like, well, what is a collaboration space? Going back to Chris's point of flexibility levels, we're between a 3 and a 4, right? So instruction can happen in multiple places. They can happen in the classroom, they can happen out in a collaboration space. And this is what we envision for a collaboration space. Now, I'll caveat that with, that's our vision. We haven't had the input from all the focus groups and such. We'll go through that process and we'll layer that on top of this. The Imagine right there on the wall, that's a placeholder. That's a graphic wall. We're calling it a graphic wall. And what that graphic ends up being at the end, it may be Imagine, it may be something completely different. But it's meant to be inspirational, give the kids a place that they can come out and continue their learning. On the opposite wall, there'll be a marker board. So these are the spaces that happen for collaboration in the corridors and in between classrooms. The next space we're going to go to is dining commons. We've talked a lot with Ms. Farroquin about kitchen and dining commons. We've separated the serving and such. And we mentioned 2 stages earlier. So we've got some clouds in the ceiling, right, to attenuate some of the sound. We got some additional ones around the perimeter. That's looking at the stage, right? And then the circles in the ceiling are all lights. These colors are what we've started with. We'll go back through the process of soliciting input, and then we'll refine those. But we have to start somewhere so we can start to illustrate what something might look like. Over there on the side, you've got access to the outside courtyard. This is the elementary side. That's that exterior dining commons, and then that door there adjacent to it where you got the yellow, that's the door into the gym or the activity room. So that's our dining commons. Now, if we walk into the gym, this is what the gym looks like when it's completely open, when both spaces are combined into one, right? You see the windows on the north wall over there, and then you'll see kind of right in between the Carrizo and the Springs, there's a partition there, right? So the normal operation of things, this is going to be divided in 2, one for the elementary school, one for the intermediate, right? But in the event that you need a bigger space, you're able to retract that wall and make it into one complete competition-sized gym. We've talked a lot about flexibility, giving you all the option to be able to use the spaces in multiple different ways. So this is one of the things that came out of that discussion. So we've managed to be able to go from 2 individual activity rooms into one that allows you to use it in its full capacity for other items if they should arise. You see a couple graphics on the wall again. The continuity of the identity, right? So we've continued on with the little Wildcats. If those become something else, that's where they would be placed, right? So this gets everybody an indication of how we can dress up the space. If we move into the elementary school classroom, this is one of the elementary school classrooms. This is one of the lower grades with their individual restrooms. Beyond the arched opening there, you'll see the door to the restroom. The sink is outside to be able to monitor and have visibility. We've got the cubbies there in the corner. We're showing some tables and chairs. There's a furniture fair coming up that's going to help with some of that selection. Again, we start somewhere, we start the dialogue, we get the input, and then we incorporate it. So this is looking at the exterior wall, and then if we look at the other side of the classroom, you'll see we've got some casework there, some teacher wardrobes, plenty of storage, marker board on the left side there, and then the mobile touchscreens. We continue on to the intermediate side. And you'll see that the furniture kind of changes a little bit, more age appropriate. But the same basic concept, right? Here we don't have a restroom, but it starts to kind of continue to develop with the age. And then the final one is just the other side of the classroom. You can see the marker board on that side, and again, just some furniture to spur the discussion as this furniture fair comes up and stuff. And we'll offer assistance with selection of colors so they all coordinate and work together. Thank you.
So, thanks, Octavio. So, a lot of this is, you have to think about the design development phase as the number 2 pencil on paper, right? There's no colors out, there's no, real creative thinking about how, what images are on the walls or what has a marker board and all of those things. So, again, we're talking about design development. I think this is as we get into CDs post this meeting, this is when it starts to get really fun. It gets really interactive with the teachers and the kids and the staff as they get to kind of make their vision come to life. And so thanks to Octavio and his crew for giving us some renderings, but obviously everything is going to be discussed as we move forward. So next we're going to have MTR come up, and we are going to talk a bit about some of the work that they have done. And here you go. Raymond, appreciate you.
So good evening. We're going to talk a little bit about the site, just discuss some of the things we've talked about before, but just kind of go over those again just to refresh everybody's memory. So we did have a traffic study that was done for the streets surrounding the campus area. That's all of the facilities combined, so out on 85 and then the roadways in front of the high school and also the junior high. This image demonstrates in white, you've got the footprint of the new campus where the elementary and intermediate campus are going to be. The yellow, and forgive me if I get the colors wrong, color vision is not my thing. But off of 85 Nopal, you've got the entry coming in to the elementary side. It's going to come in off the roadway. There will be a deceleration lane there off of 85 for cars to pull out of the roadway to be able to turn right into the facility. And then they're going to have a loop essentially around the front parking area that's going to take them down around the side of the building on the side where the elementary school is for drop-off. That then will allow for the parents to exit back toward 85 again. We've also got on separating the traffic out. So I guess let me back up. One of the first things that we did in looking at the traffic study was optimize the best way to handle the traffic. And so when we went through that process, we determined that separating the elementary from the middle school, from the junior high, from the high school, separating the buses from parent drop-offs was going to optimize the traffic maneuvers, movements, and also promote the best safety. So we separated the elementary on the right-hand side with the entry coming in off of 85. We have the middle school, the intermediate school coming in off of the roadway in front of the high school and coming in from the left-hand side toward the campus and then turning down to the area in front of the field and then coming in the front drop-off area for their drop-off. So they'll be dropping off on the left-hand side as we're looking at the image, and then exiting back out to the left again. So we're still keeping that separation between the elementary and the intermediate school students. The blue in the back, that is the proposed route that we have for the buses circulating. So we'll bring them in off of the roadway in front of the junior high. The new bus transportation facility is going to be at the back end of the junior high. So we'll have the buses staging and exiting and entering from that location, and then being able to drive to the back of the new campus for the bus loop that's going to be on the back side. So that allows us to bring buses in, stack about 12 buses on the back of the campus, so that when school ends, we can have the kids leave and directly go onto the buses, and then from there, staying separate from the parents that are entering and exiting the campus, be able to circulate between the junior high, the new intermediate, and the high school pickup areas, so we can bring them in, loop them around, and then take them back out to the roadway in front of the junior high, without ever interacting with any of the parents that are picking up and dropping off at the junior high or the intermediate or elementary school or even the high school. So we'll keep all of that separate. The other thing that we've had good progress on is we've got the completion of the geotechnical study that was done for the campus. We did determine that the soils here at Carrizo Springs are very, very good soils. Actually, some of the best soils I've ever worked with anywhere. You've got the way that we measure that is a potential for vertical rise. Essentially, how much would the soil swell when water is introduced to the soils? And the soils here are right at a 1-inch PVR. That's usually a design criteria that we establish. So if I've got a soil that has a 6-inch PVR, meaning that it has the potential to rise 6 inches over time with moisture, we try to mitigate that soil to get it down to a 1-inch PVR for ideal structural loading conditions for the soil. In this case, we can build right on top of the soils you have here without any mitigation. So again, great soils to work on. We've got a slab-on-grade design, which is going to save you money in the long run. We don't have to do, as I mentioned, anything to really mitigate the soils that are here. We're able to build directly on top of the soils as far as bearing capacity, as far as the potential for vertical rise. So that's going to be the bearing capacity and the amount of movement that we can expect from the soils. The other thing that we look at a soil to try to determine and work a design for is the amount of water in the soil, moisture, right? Groundwater that's moving through the area. So what we've done here is, this is depicting French drains that we've talked about the entire process. So they're further developed now. We've got kind of alignments identifying where they're to be placed in a grid style beneath the location underneath the building. We've also got a section here identifying how that works. So as we've talked about before, we've essentially got a gravel trench that's built or trenched into the ground. A pipe is inserted at the base of that is perforated to allow the water to flow into that pipe. We then backfill that trench with a gravel that is permeable or has a lot of openings, very clean gravel, that we wrap in a fabric that is also allows for water to pass through it. So that lets the water go through it, but it keeps the soil in place so the soil does not migrate into the drainage system. We wrap that trench, fill it with gravel, put a pipe at the bottom, get the water out of there essentially, and then we are going to drain everything that we're going to try to tie into drainage systems around the campus that's going to feed into the drainage system between the high school and the junior high. So that floodplain that's in the middle there is going to be where all of our drainage is going to go. We're going to have French drain systems to pick up all of the subsurface water in the groundwater, and then we're going to have surface drainage systems to pick up everything that comes in from rainwater. All of your roof systems will be tied in with downspouts to a drainage system that's going to go directly to the floodplain. All your groundwater systems are going to be tied in and piped in directly to those same systems that's going to direct the water back out to the same floodplain. So this is an image showing you exactly that, the floodplain. So with recent news and consideration of floodplain and wanting to be sure that we're taking a look at those things to make sure we've got good plans for that. The area that's in blue along the middle of the site is the FEMA floodplain that separates the school campus at the high school right now with the junior high, and also shows where the new intermediate campus is being constructed. This is only in here to demonstrate that we have done the studies, we've done the modeling. The floodplain is contained outside of the campus areas. Everything you've got on the campus is going to be unflooded. Areas that are currently in use are improved. And then the new roadway that we're putting in between the campuses will also be designed, or is currently actually designed, to pass the 100-year flow. So the 100-year storm event, flood event that does occur in the floodplain, which is about 8,000 CFS, quite a bit of water, is actually, this roadway system is being designed so that that water will flow through and under the roadway without going over the roadway. So somebody in a 100-year event could drive between the junior high and the intermediate campus and the high school and not be driving over anything other than what's falling from the surface, right? Not any of the flood waters going over the road.
Thank you. And then just to point out, as we talk about testing soil, and that was one of the big things that we wanted to address in the beginning stages of design. The typical, how many bore samples did we do? we did over 20. Typical's closer to 14, about 10, right? So we did a significant amount of more bore samples than we typically would on a normal site, just because it was such a concern for the district and for the community as we decided and helped the district pick a place to build these two schools. So with that said, there's a couple other things as we start to move forward. Kind of what's next, what's next? So we've already talked a little bit about furniture fair, right? This is when the fun stuff starts to happen. So we're going to continue these focus group meetings in September. We need to, although we haven't talked about this yet, we need to start talking about a facilities assessment to address all of the remaining Prop A renovations. Why is this important? As we start to price things out and understand the actual cost of the building, we have a general idea now because we've already gone out and talked with the market. But you really need to look at all of the facilities you have and then get a priority order of what should be kind of first up on the list to fix versus last up, right? The last thing you want is to put 2 new schools in here and then you've got an AC that's down in the high school or you've got something else happening at another school. And also, I would suggest that we're also looking at the buildings that will then become vacant and how you secure those moving forward to ensure, whatever the district wants to do with those and they don't become dilapidated or hazards. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that in the future. Guaranteed maximum price one for site and civil work. We're kind of aiming for the November board meeting. So what does that mean? That means we're going out and actually getting prices on what we believe we can procure, the things that we need for site and civil work. And we hope to bring that to you in November. The furniture fair we already talked about. It's going to be the last week of September. And then groundbreaking, right? So what does groundbreaking mean? Groundbreaking means that we're going to be out there with a bunch of equipment and the civil work will be started. It's not sexy. It's not, the walls up. What it is the first turn of the dirt, right? That's what a groundbreaking really is in a sense. But we hope that once we have that, whatever date that gets decided, the work is continuous throughout until the school opens, right? So that's something to start to look forward to. Something we talked about really, really early in the bond planning process as well as, when we're going to start moving those things. And then we're off into CDs, right? So CDs, again, is where the buildings start to come to life. This is where all of the detail gets done. This is where the colors are chosen. This is where the themes for the buildings are chosen. And we hope to have CDs wrapped up for board approval in December. Oh, no. All right. We hope to have those wrapped up in December for you guys to review. And then we can move into also getting our GMP2, which will include a lot of the bigger ticket, or not a lot of the bigger ticket items, but other items that we'll need to procure. And that way we can get to just continuing the construction process. Ribbon cutting, we're still looking at January 2027, which means we'll be moving furniture. Our goal is to move furniture in by June 27th of 2027, and then open for students in August of 2027. So overall, this is kind of the next steps coming up. We want you guys to be aware. And if there's any real questions that you guys have, I'm here to answer, and we can bring anybody up that needs to answer as well.
Question over here.
Okay.
Right off the bat, you mentioned the word safety and security, and something came into my mind. So say like in the areas of cameras where we're in our current schools where we're dealing with vendors, are we going to be working with vendors on your end, or does everything that we have need to match up? If that's all right, if I'm asking that correctly.
You're perfectly fine.
Okay.
So we've already started to have those conversations. We've got preliminary placements and camera types. Jerry was a part of that. Chief was a part of those conversations. Okay. Yeah, so we started early on that. We do have some RFPs and RFQs that might be coming out to actually pick vendors.
Okay.
But from consultant standpoint of where cameras should point, what areas are we covering, what options of cameras kind of exist, we've had those conversations with Chief and Jerry already. And so, you know, we're confident, we have a high level of confidence that we'll be able to tie into the systems that the district has right now.
And again, I apologize on my part. I know I haven't been to some of the meetings with you guys in Bond and with the teachers, but will there be, and maybe you have already, emphasizing safety and security from in the building?
Oh, absolutely.
Where their eyes are on it, where they're seeing, you know, where we're telling the public, this is what we're putting in place to reassure them and reassure the public.
Absolutely. So we've had Chief in a lot of those discussions. One of the things that we didn't cover, you saw a little bit of the traffic flow. There's optionality on what gates to have open when, what gates will be remote controlled, what will be physical gates that can be moved, and so and that includes in regular school time and event time and all those things. So yes, we have had those conversations. They are in the DD package that we have. That's why I think that this is an amazing DD set that they've put together, especially in the amount of time that they've had to put this together. We were very thorough in making sure that we were talking with the experts on how we're going to control these things. Obviously, safety and security was part of the bond. So you're looking at cameras, you're looking at controlled access, you're looking at vestibule locations.
There you go.
All of those things have been accounted for in our DD set. Now it's just how do we dress them up, right? We went as far in the safety and security as to plan out how many screens they'll need to monitor the cameras that are on in each location. So yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Okay.
You mentioned on there that you said on the what's next that you said a facilities assessment needs to be done. Is that something that's going to be done by y'all or who is?
Well, so we can give you options, right? Okay. So we can obviously handle it with TWS. There's other companies out there that do it as well. That can be up for the board to decide, or we can handle it as a professional service or add on to our contract. But the thing that you don't want to happen is you don't want to create inequity through new schools, right? So if you have a brand new school, 2 new schools that are coming up, and everything works there, and then we're having deficiencies in like the high school or the junior high, that's what you're trying to avoid there, but also give yourself a maintenance plan over the next 10 years, right? So what should you be accounting for, or thinking about, or working on as you go through this process? So again, tons of optionality there. It needs to get done, right? It's also part of what TEA asks to be done as well.
Okay. And that's something that's done for the whole district or just the campuses?
It should be done for the whole district, in my opinion. Yeah, your vacant buildings and everything, right? Because if not, you're just leaving yourself blind spots. So.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay.
And again, if you mentioned it, I apologize. That was a
That's
lot of
okay.
information. How, you started again right off the bat, again, tariffs.
Yeah.
How and when do we start seeing dollar figures?
Good
When do
question.
we start, you know, we know everything, it's going to be a bid here, a bid there, but what is that going to look like in a timeline?
GMP 1, so anything guaranteed maximum price is when we're looking at pricing, right? That's when you start to see the actual cost of the schools being built, right? So I think the first one, November, let's see, let me go back to the actuals. It was there. I'm going back into this. Whoop. GMP 1, December. Yeah, going to try and get to you earlier. That's when you start to see the main cost of the buildings. What you've already seen from a bond standpoint is you've seen contracts being written. And so if you want to talk about kind of savings overall, so through the contracts that have been written, we've got a anticipated savings of $2.7 million. And the next board meeting, or our next chance up here, we'll let you know how much we've already seen actualized. So as we can continue to, like, in the contracting phase of writing these contracts, getting the best protections, and negotiating fees, that's where you're seeing your savings now and costs right now. So yeah, so GMP is always looking for those. There may be, I just want to put this on the radar in case it goes, there may be a need to break up GMP 1 and GMP 2, maybe into a couple of subsets. I wouldn't expect more than 3. But that has a lot to do with the pricing that we're seeing and lead times on big things like chillers and all that. We're already having those conversations. We've talked to Trane, which seems to be it's going to be the preferred vendor what the maintenance guys want to see. So yeah, that's when you'll start to see the hard costs, and then we'll start talking about, you know, are we going to meet our budget? We've seen some preliminary numbers as of right now. We believe that we're in budget, right? So, but until we purchase things, I don't want to throw a lot of guessing. I will say this. I want to point out back in, let's see, June of 24, we had a bunch of architects come in and they pitched their services, right? And you guys probably don't remember, but I wrote it down. The numbers were from $380 a square foot to $450 a square foot, okay? That was kind of the range that the architects were saying. And I would say I was with them, right? Right now we're seeing 500 to 525, okay? So we're just going to continue to monitor it. You know, my kind of last words before we came in here today was I want to have the availability to sit on my hands if I want to sit on my hands before we go to purchase, right? Just to see if there's any movement in the market, if there's anything that's give us some leading indicators or anything that's telling us, hey, buy now and you'll be better off in 2 months. So we're trying not to wait to the very end. I think we're doing a really good job. Again, we're pushing them at a crazy pace right now, and they're picking everything up, both the engineers and the architects, really fast. So I'm happy about that. So, anything else? Slowly. Yep.
A question, and maybe I've missed it in some other meetings, but I enjoyed this presentation because you gave.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm deaf in this here.
Sorry. You gave the results of, for example, traffic studies, and we got results for soil samples. And so, how do we make this transparent so that others can see this particular presentation? Because there's a lot of concerns from members of our community if we're doing the right thing. And to bring peace of mind, to answer those questions to those people out there and saying, are we using the right location? Is it safe to use this area, the location, because of the soil?
Yes, sir.
Can we be transparent and bring peace of mind to all those questions and show this not only to us, I don't know, put it on the website?
Yeah, so we have a bond website.
Because this is going to help us gain the support, give them the peace of mind, so that we can all be on the same page to move forward. Because there's a lot of questions on the results.
Yeah.
How do we get it to everyone in the community?
So right now we're using kind of one method, which is the Carrizo Springs bond website, right? That's one area that these types of results sit. One thing that we could do better is we could maybe host a town hall and go through it. There's a couple other mechanisms that we can use. We are trying to get the community involved, right? So when we did core samples, we had a learning beyond the classroom exercise. There was a video, so that exists on the internet. I think part of it, it's two-part, right? Driving people to where the information is, and then figuring out what other mechanisms we should use to continue to drive the message home. So point made, and we can work on it.
I'll give you an example. Some of the pictures that you used in this presentation I'd never seen before.
Okay.
We're using a graphic design drawing to sell it to our community, but these were more live pictures.
Perfect.
We want more.
Okay.
I would like to see more.
Absolutely.
To be transparent with the community.
Absolutely.
So that perhaps the teachers can see exactly what we're looking at.
Absolutely.
How can we get more to the public?
Yeah, and we'll by the next board meeting you'll start to see some of that, and if we need to, we can go through the bond website and those types of things. Absolutely.
We get closer
Yeah.
to this idea so
Yeah.
that everybody is informed.
Yeah, and Superintendent Pearson made a great suggestion. You know, normally when we go through, well, not normally, sometimes when you go through furniture selection, you do it like a regular RFP, right? So you put it out, the furniture folks fill out a form and they say, hey, this is what we can do for you guys, and then we sit and we say, okay, are these guys any good, and who's first, second, third, and then we pick one. Superintendent Pearson was like, why don't we get them to come in and let us put our hands on the furniture, right? That's a great point. So the teachers and the staff, that's the direction we're going, right? So I'm with you.
I think it's important for teachers, students, parents to see,
Mm-hmm.
especially the people that are going to use this facility.
Absolutely. And we'll work on that too. Thank you. It's a great point.
You mentioned a number, you said 2.7 million savings.
Mhm.
Is that something that is?
Yeah, we can show you that.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, how do you come about that, if, like you're saying, if we're not really looking at numbers, we don't know what this is gonna cost, we don't know what this is gonna
Contract
cost?
negotiation. Right, so if we think back to our first board meeting in June, you know, there was a number that came in, and we negotiated that number down.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the forecasted savings. And then actualized is every single month that number is less. That's how the actualized savings. So 2.7 is forecasted in contracts so far, right?
Do you foresee more savings?
We have a few more contracts coming up. I think there's opportunity for sure. Facilities assessment's going to be one. We've got audio, visual, security, and access control. That's going to be another. So those are going to be all places that we're going to look to push down and help in those negotiations. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, we need a motion. Yes.
President Franco, if no questions, I make the motion to approve, consider approval of the design development for Carrizo Springs Elementary and Carrizo Springs Intermediate.
Second.
Motion made by Michael Oriegas, seconded by Noe Zarate, to approve the design development for Carrizo Springs Elementary and Carrizo Springs Intermediate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next we have consider approval of procurement method and contract authorization for the renovation of the maintenance and transportation building.
Yep, so during our meeting that we had earlier this month, we discussed the options, and, you know, we recommend, it is required that we get board approval on how we would like to proceed with that item, because it is a construction item, and so it does require your approval. We recommend to release an RFP, we get the quotes, and, you know, and we evaluate and proceed that way. That's our recommendation, is to move forward in that method.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yes.
So, what kind of procurement method are we considering here?
We could also do like contract manager at risk. If it was something small, we would have to pay other fees for that sort of contract. We could also do sealed bid proposal. We could, you know, there are other avenues, but we feel like if we put a proposal together and do an RFP and score it with our team, you know, we'd have an evaluation team to look at the bids that come in and then bring back to the board and say, hey, here are the options that came in, these are the pricings, and then you would agree or not agree with our recommendation, but we would want to put it out. That way we get bids on it.
Thank you.
Oh, so Ms. Diaz, so we start the process, and please remind me, how long, what would be timeline for all this?
Oh, gosh. So we have to put it in the
More or
paper for
less.
2 weeks. Yeah, we have to put it in the paper for 2 weeks, and then if there's any, we'll set a timeline for questions. I think it would probably be back at the board, possibly at the September board meeting.
Okay.
We looked at a timeline earlier today for some of the items that we were looking at on the construction side as well, so we're targeting for that date. Because we already have the scope ready to go and so forth. So, yeah, I think we would be able to finalize evaluations and so forth around September the 11th and put it on the September board meeting.
So since we haven't determined what kind of procurement method is to be used, so I think we don't have to consider approval of this item.
I couldn't really hear.
Ms. Diaz, I think Mr. Doria asked what was the recommendation. When you went through all of them, he asked what was the recommendation.
To release a request for proposals.
But which kind?
RFP.
RFP, yes, correct.
The sealed proposal was what you put in your memo? The sealed bid proposal?
Right, correct. Sorry.
So do we have to amend this item? Like specify what kind of procurement method?
I do. I do need your approval so that I can release it, put it in the paper, proceed with it, because the potential costs could be, Oh, the verbiage. Oh, okay. Let me look at it.
There is like a contract authorization here. Are we going to authorize the superintendent or as or
Okay.
you are you're going to present whatever RFPs to the board?
Yeah, they're gonna present back to us the RFP.
So you can-
They're gonna evaluate the RFPs and bring us a recommendation.
So we cannot consider this one. This is different.
Amend it. You wanna amend it? Amend it to specifically what they.
Okay, so the recommendation of the board is to select the sealed bid proposal method of procurement and approve contract authorization for the superintendent to approve the contract. Or if you'd like for those bids to come back to the board, we can bring them back to the board.
Recommendation of the bids is coming back. Or is she saying we're gonna see all the bids?
I don't think it was that clear. I don't think I put it clear enough. You know what I mean? So I probably needed to put like the options in there and then the recommendation.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
How would we have to, how would we just say it? Okay. We can. So we can. Replace and take off this, which is what we're doing, take off this. We can just say, right? Just, okay, do we have? Okay, well, RFP sealed bid, is that what you said, RFP sealed bid? Sealed bids,
Correct.
sealed bids with.
No, hombre. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't want, well,
Madam President, I'd like to amend item B.
C.
Item C, consider, the amendment shall read like the following. Consider approval of RFP sealed bids procurement method of the maintenance and transportation building.
with board approval.
Needs-
President Franco, I'm fine with the language. That the language does make sense. I do have other questions though, if I'm allowed to, May, before we move on.
Okay. All right.
Are we good with the language?
You can amend, we can.
I'm
always
not
amend
amending it, I just have another question. Side note question.
If you want to give us your question first before. the-
Okay, yeah, before we go ahead and move. So, guys, please remind me, and again, I apologize for, maybe we've had these discussions before, and I'm all for us utilizing that building. Have we inspected, does that need to be another, brought back to us in a different, as an item? Is it a sound building? Is it good to move into? Is it good for remodeling? Do we need to bring that back? And I apologize if we've had that meeting before.
You have to use the mic because we're recording.
Yes, we're recording. Please remind me. If it's not, if we're not allowed to discuss it this time, I'll ask to bring it back as an item for discussion. By all means, I'm ready for us to utilize, but may
Okay.
he? Oh, right, thank you. Go ahead, Mario, you got it.
Okay, on the building, yes, it is sound.
Okay.
It is a sound building. It just needs to have.
Speak into the mic.
The electrical, just kind of.
Yes, bit.
Just kind of
There you go.
repaired, okay?
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
That's
I'm
all
not
right,
used
that's
to
all right.
this. And this is why I'm asking, and Ms. Diaz is helping me, so that way we can get that repaired. And we're not getting the whole building repaired.
Right.
Just half of it,
Right.
because the other two sides, we can work on those later on.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to say the urgency, but the reason that I would like the board to consider this and give us this is because we have to move out of the bus barn.
Correct. Again,
And-
like I said, I'm all for that. Let's go. Let's get this rolling.
Because the bus barn has to leave in order for the schools to be built.
Correct.
And all of those
Correct.
things. So,
And-
yes, and we've already started moving some things out.
Okay.
And we've already started cleaning it and everything on there. But if we can get that done, we can move out quicker. You see, and I know that the groundbreaking is just around the corner. And once they start that, then they will have to put the perimeter of the fence around there, and
Right.
we have to be out.
Right.
So, that's all there is to it.
So
There's not anything else to it.
Would down the road, would you say it's ready to be remodeled and ready to move in after remodel? Do we need, as part of this contract, do we need folks to come in and give it another set of eyes? Okay, hey, there's a leak up here on this roof. Wait, would that be part of what we're looking at as far as contractors coming in or workers coming in to?
Well, right now,
I've been out to the building. I've
Yeah,
seen it.
okay.
I haven't been on top of the roof, but I just want to make sure that we're.
It's like anything else. It probably has a leak here and there.
Yeah.
But nothing, that would keep us from working on there.
Okay.
It's kind of the same as the one that
Sure.
we're in right now.
Sure.
Every time it rains, it floods.
Sure.
But this one would probably be a place that wouldn't flood because it's up on a
It's
little
on
ridge.
better ground. Okay.
So, but that's the reason why. And it's a lot bigger. It has offices already in there. It has everything on there that we need. All we need
Yes,
to do is
yeah,
just.
I've been out there, yeah.
Okay,
It's-
all we need is just to remodel it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
And fix the electricals, and it'll be great. And then the
Great.
buses would be out there also. In fact, we've already started putting some of our
Good.
vehicles
All right.
up there on that side.
All right.
So that's the reason why we're asking for this, okay?
Okay.
To help out also and make sure that nothing gets in the way of doing
Of
the
course,
schools.
I'm all for it.
Okay.
Thanks.
I
Thanks
think-
for the clarification.
And I think with a facility study, that would be included in that they're gonna
That's all I need to hear.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Martin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the RFP sealed bids procurement method for the renovation of the maintenance and transportation building.
With board approval.
Subject to board approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Aldoria, seconded by Michael Uriegas to approve the procurement method RFP seal bids for the renovation of the maintenance and transportation building, subject to board approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Okay, D, consider approval of the cell phone ban policy.
Thank you, President Franco. So Texas House Bill 1481, effective starting the 25-26 school year, mandates that Texas school districts and open enrollment charter schools implement policies to restrict student use of personal wireless communication devices during the instructional day. The law aims to reduce distractions, safeguard student privacy, and improve the learning environment by limiting the use of devices like cell phones, smartwatches, and tablets during the school day. So this is required for us to do by law. The good news for Carrizo Springs CISD is that we were already having our students power their cell phones and put them in their backpacks. So our recommendation to the board is to continue with that policy of the cell phones should remain out of sight and turned off from the time the student enters the building until the end of the school day. Students must put devices away upon entering the school building. Devices are prohibited in restrooms, locker rooms, or any other space where privacy is expected. Students will not record or post still or moving images or voices recordings of students or teachers online without their permission. Smartwatches are not to be used for texting or calling during the instructional day. Students will adhere to the school and district rules regarding cyberbullying. The law does have 3 exceptions necessary to implement a special education IEP individual education plan through an ARD meeting or a plan created under Section 504. Also, another exception would be in limited basis, a documentation of a need issued by a qualified physician. And so we have put together a one-pager that was in your board book so that we would communicate well with our families. We have already sent out communication to our families so that they were aware that this is a policy that the board has to look at and that we have to adopt based on the new law for Texas schools. We also are required to bring to the board what our consequences would be. At this time, because we have had great success with our students being responsible and putting their cell phones away in their backpack, we want to start with phones being turned into administration and picked up by a student at the end of the school day for the first offense. Parent and guardians would be notified via our Parent Square. The second offense would be for the phone to be turned into administration and then at that time picked up by a parent or guardian at the end of the school day. And parent and guardians are notified, obviously, through the Parent Square notification. On the third offense is when we would issue an in-school suspension along with the phone being turned in and parents picking it up. On the fourth offense, the student would serve 2 days of in-school suspension and the parents would pick up the phone. If there was a fifth offense, at this time, we would recommend that the student serve the 3 days of in-school suspension, but that also at that time, for the remainder of the school year, the student would be required to turn in their phone to the front office and to be stored in a secure pouch for the entirety of the instructional day, so they would not be able to then have it in their backpack. Those are the recommendations at this time from administration to start the 25-26 school year. This was debriefed with our principals, and at any time, we could bring back a different recommendation to the board if we were to see that there was a need to be more maybe punitive in our consequences. But since our students have shown maturity and responsibility, we feel that this is a good approach at this time. Any questions?
Question, thank you. If so allowed, any input from our principals regarding this?
Principals? if you
Any
would like to
feedback
comment.
regarding this? Do you foresee any issue? Come on up, please. We want to hear from you. Please, thank you. If
I think at the junior high campus, we're going to have very few issues. Just because that has been our policy, and I announce it during breakfast, I announce it during lunch. We see a phone, we take a phone. So students know that they can't carry it in their pocket. It has to be in their backpack. We can't see it or we're going to take it. So we really haven't had cell phone issues all year. And I really don't think it's going to be an issue for the junior high campus.
I agree. Students that have been walking into the high school have already been discussing it. Like, we've been talking about it. They're aware. They know. Sometimes I'll see them at HEB and they joke around about it. Say, hey, I got my phone here. Like,
Okay.
But I think they're aware. They know. As long as just the way Ms. Pearson discussed it. I mean, we've all discussed it already several times. We've discussed it all summer since. But
okay. Do you have any of the? And again, please excuse my. How about the kids? Any of those that wear the glasses? What are those called? No, I'm serious. I mean,
No.
Kids know. I mean,
They're the Ray-Ban, the Meta
the
Quest.
Metas. There you
Meta
go.
Quest.
Any problems with those?
I don't think that anybody, I don't know. I know at junior high they don't bring them.
Okay.
I don't think they do at high school. My son only uses it for roping.
All
They're
right.
neat for activities. You know, I know my boys have them for roping when they're roping.
The proposed 25-26 student dress code. Please note that there are minimal changes to last year's dress code and this year's dress code. There are two bullets I would like to point out to you that in reference to the minimal changes. Jeans with holes are allowed, no visible skin above the knee. This is something that was monitored throughout the year, and our students followed the dress code, and the administrators were able to address any violations of that. And then the other thing is that we added the leggings with the long shirt or blouse covering to mid-thigh. And this is really due to affordable clothing options. We want our families to, we're working with our families to make sure that they've got options to maintain an appropriate dress code. And so we made an amendment or an update to that particular area of the dress code. Everything else remained the same, and so it is our recommendation. It just also, as was discussed, as the cell phone policy ban was discussed with campus principals and leadership, as was the dress code, this updates to dress code. So therefore, it's our recommendation that the board approve the dress code as presented. Excuse me. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on the shorts, because now it just says shorts. That can mean like
Right.
athletic shorts.
Yes, ma'am. Mhm. And then there are stipulations for, the bottoms that there no sagging pants or shorts, and no pajama or sleepwear. That still remains in place. But yes, again, as the stance is to offer more options to our families. And again, our administration does a really great job of enforcing, as well as our teachers, of enforcing the dress code. I'm sorry.
Don't ban the Crocs.
No, ban the Crocs, okay. Footwear must be worn, so gotta have shoes on. As long as they're not steel-toed, Crocs are in good shape.
Is there no more questions, President? I make a motion to consider approval of the 2025-2026 student dress code.
Okay. Motion made by Jeff Ortiz to approve the 2025-2026 student dress code.
Second.
Seconded by Noe Zarate. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Madam President,
yes.
before we move on, did we approve consent agenda items? I apologize, I might have
Yes.
blanked. Did I
Yes,
blank
we
out on
did.
that? I apologize.
We did.
Asking too many questions. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, next item, executive session. Discussion authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.001. Personnel matters, discussion of resignations, retirements, leaves of absence, reassignments, new employment, new personnel position, duties, responsibilities of employees. And we have to consider approval of the superintendent's recommendation for curriculum specialist. The time is 8:12. We are now in executive session. say the time, right? Okay, time is 9:50. We are back from executive session. Do we have a motion on the? Okay. Okay. I have a motion by Wilbur Cruz to approve the superintendent's recommendation for a curriculum specialist, Dr. Guzman. Seconded by Aldoria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Adjourn. Motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Noe Zarate to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Time is 9:51.